So a few days ago, it was reported that the Horizon MMO reportedly being worked on by NCSoft was canceled. Now you combine this with the recently reported news that Sony canceled 2 live service first-party games and a pile-on was starting to emerge. The pile-on was mostly attributed to Xbox fanboys who thought they had a new life in the console war on the internet due to their favorite console bowing out of said console war. Videos and comments and social media posts were running amok. Well, today we discovered that the live service title news was possibly incorrect, that the title may still be ongoing. Whoopsies for the fanboys, right? But what about the journalists spreading this report? Are they wrong in any way? Lastly, do we even care the state of this game or just the involvement of first-party studios in this live service effort? We tackle all this in a video ahead. Let's get into this one with no further ado. What's up, people? It's your boy MM2K of Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, MM2K Gaming, back again with another episode of Quick Dose. This is where we talk about the latest and greatest in these gaming streets, and we give you our thoughts on everything that's happening in the community. And man, oh man, do we have a good one for you. But before we go any further, do us a huge favor, that like button, hit that subscribe button, and rock those bells for notifications, please. And then make sure you switch that bell notification to all right? Not personalized, because we don't want YouTube's goofy algorithm trying to bob and weave and select content for you. You select it on your own, right? You're capable of doing that. All right. So with no further ado, let's get on here. So the original story and the reaction to the story is at the heart of this. So in order for us to discuss this video, I do have to show you guys this. All right. So this is a Twitter post from somebody named Real Deck. And they said, I didn't know that I had to update this PlayStation Live Service games list so soon, but here we are with the Horizon MMO getting canned. That's the 7th project that's been canceled from PlayStation. Oof. Now, I don't know who this person is or this account is or whatever. I got some questions about this list. We'll get into it in a little bit. But here goes the original story as reported by Horizon's MMO appears to be canceled per Push Square, right? And it says, in an email shared on the forum WoolyWeb, reporter Soo Jong-goon told a reader that the canceled Project H mentioned in his article had nothing to do with Horizon. That's what we'll get to that later. But here goes the original story. Over a year ago, Sony announced a strategic partnership with Korean publisher NCSoft, with the speculated goal being to create a multi-format MMO based on the Horizon franchise, right? Okay, so now you go to the updated story that came through, and it says this is where the story gets pretty confusing. NCSoft job resumes have referenced a game called Project Skyline, which shares the same font as the Horizon logo. This was previously known as Project H. It appears, however, that Project H, which has been canceled, is not Project Skyline, right? But meanwhile, we still got posts like this. Oh yeah, it's a canceled game. And look at this list. Like, this list is a problem. I don't know if this is from a PlayStation hater or whatever. I don't have the time or even the care to go look through their account. Maybe you can do it. Go check out this Radic person. But when you look at this list, it makes it appears that everything in red is shut down. How do I know that? Because when you go talk to content creators that hate on PlayStation, they're like, yeah, there's 10 canceled games or whatever. But when you look here per this list, even if you include the Horizon MMO, per this list, it says canceled. There are 3 unannounced. Then there's canceled, which that makes 4, canceled, which makes 7, right? Now, again, you still don't want a whole bunch of games canceled, but I think if you're running into a situation where you're finally doing proper quality control on what's being released, which clearly wasn't done good enough with Concord, and you're looking at some of the crazy, ridiculous things that are happening, like a God of War live service game by Blue Point Game. Like, come on, what are we doing? Ben Studios working on a live service game. Like, why? Help me out here. You know what I'm saying? When you look at those type of things, you start to realize, hey, maybe the proper QC is happening now, being that they've updated the Center of Live Service Excellence with more Bungie employees, and now those former Bungie employees are actually SIE employees. Now they're being honest, because before they were probably told by Big Papa Bungie, oh, you tell them that those are great games, because if they fail, that means that they're not going to be siphoning players away from Destiny. That's all Bungie cared about. They cared about the success of Bungie and the success of Destiny, and I could see them easily sabotaging PlayStation so they can remain independent and have a successful Destiny, and then as a follow-up, a successful Marathon. So with that said, I'm confused in large part by some of this reaction, but I know where a lot of it is coming from. It's coming from Xbox fanboys, which we'll address that in a little bit. So with that said, that's the original story. We talked about the updated story, right? Where again, there was a correction made and the game isn't canceled. And it says, Korean outlet, this is game confirmed with their sources that the Horizon MMO is still in development, right? And then when they talk about that job description, here it goes. Shout out to Zuby Tech for putting it out here. That shows that the Horizon MMO that is reportedly, again, this is all rumor, reportedly being created by NCSoft is still in production. It was just some confusion over the code name or whatever by people it was lost in translation pretty much. Okay. So, here are some of my thoughts about this. First, I want to address two crowds here. I'm going to address the PlayStation gamers that got all in the uproar about this. And I want to address the fanboys, the Xbox fanboys, who think this is a victory for them. PlayStation gamers who heard this on top of the news that PlayStation had Bluepoint and a Ben Studios live service game canceled, and you're like, oh, see, this is proof. Sony is falling apart at the seams. I think you're losing balance in retrospect. I truly do. I do think Herman Hulst, Hiroki Totoki should have their feet over the fire in regards to their mismanagement and pursuing something that was done out of sheer panic. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll have a card or I have a link in the description. I have a prior video where I actually go full blast on Sony leadership for how they've handled their games as a service strategy. I'm not an apologist here. I'm not making any excuses for them, even though the PlayStation 5 is my favorite console right now, and really my favorite place to game. No excuses for how they've mismanaged this. And they should have been the stopgap from this getting even worse and even more ridiculous after Jim Ryan left and they took over. You can't blame Jim Ryan anymore. You can blame him for starting this, but when you look back at the chronological history, you can see why he did some of the things that he did, even though they were still outrageous and still out of panic. You can understand where he was coming from, even whether you agree with it or not. I cannot understand a Hiroki Totoki or a Herman Hulst saying, yeah, we're still going to greenlight these pure panic moves. Check out that video. I have a link in the description or somewhere so you can opine on that video because we really deep dive that. That being said, you're losing balance in retrospect here. You're taking a situation where you should be angry over the waste of first-party talent and stupid ideas coming to fruition. Like, who the heck wanted a God of War live service game made by Bluepoint, for crying out loud? Isn't there only 40 people at Bluepoint? And what the heck do you have Ben Studios working on if it ain't Days Gone 2? You understand what I'm saying? So, with all that being said, I get the anger there. And the feasible message is, don't waste first-party talent outside of like an advisory role on this stuff. They should be developing first-party games. You don't go call your landscapers and put them in the kitchen and say, hey, we need you to make, this cake for our big banquet that we're about to. You don't do that. Doesn't make sense, right? Outside of that, I think you guys are losing perspective. Why do I say that? Because I think you guys over-exaggerate what games are traditionally available from PlayStation first party. And when I say PlayStation first party, let's only address first party games that are owned by PlayStation. Those are the games that you guys want, right? Like we're not gonna include a Helldivers in what I'm about to show you or what we're about to talk about. We're gonna include games. We're not even MLB because Sony does not own that IP. We're talking about Sony owned IP, Sony owned studio. When they work on the game, that's considered the creme de la creme of Sony's offering. When that happens, those are the games that you want multiple times a year. If that is your expectation and you're like, they failed because they're not giving us first party games developed by a first party studio. They're not giving us multiple entries of that every year. They failed. You have fooled yourself. Shout out to Porter Rock. He's been here on the channel. Former nemesis for a quick second until he had to school your boy on all things Xbox years ago. Shout out to Porter Rock, who provided me this slide that he used on a prior video. Thank you, my good friend. As always, I want to show this to you guys. This right here is a slide that Porter Rock created that shows you what games are first party developed by a first party studio, right? Or that are first party developed by a first party IP or developed for first party IP, excuse me. This is what happened last gen, because I talked to a lot of you and you guys say, no, PlayStation 4 did a lot better with first party IP that was developed by a first party studio. They did so much better last gen. Okay, let's take a look at it. This is starting from launch. 2013, what did you get? That was a first party IP developed by a first party studio, Killzone Shadowfall. That was at launch. 2014, what did you get? You got Drive Club and Infamous. 2015, you got nothing under that moniker. 2016, you got The Last Guardian and Uncharted 4. 2017, you did get 3. Gran Turismo Sport, Horizon Zero Dawn, Uncharted Lost Legacy, even though that was like an offshoot game, we'll still count that one, right? 2018, you got God of War, but hold on, Insomniac, they weren't a first party studio at the time. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about creme de la creme, first party games. I know Spider-Man came out, but they were not first party. All right. Days Gone in 2019. And then in 2020, you got Tilu 2, Miles Morales, Ghosts of Tsushima. Right. I want to pay attention to 2013 through 2017, because if you count up all these games from 2013 to 2017, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 games in the first 5 years of the generation, first party developed and first party owned IP. Let's look at this generation. Okay. The generation that started in 2020, you got Spider-Man Miles Morales. You got Ratchet and Clank in 2021. In 2022, you got God of War Ragnarok, GT7, and Horizon Forbidden West. In 2023, you got Spider-Man 2. Now in 2024, you got Astrobot, and you did get Concord, even though it got nixed. So if you want to be technical and include Concord because it was actually released, you can say 9 games. But if you want to be, I think, fair, it alludes to 8 games. 8 games. Just like last gen. And again, this part is subjective. But when I look at Killzone Shadowfall, Drive Club Infamous, The Last Guardian, Uncharted 4, Gran Turismo, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Uncharted Lost Legacy, I don't know if that's better quality-wise then Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank, God of War Ragnarok, GT7, Horizon Forbidden West, Spider-Man 2, and Astrobot. I don't know if that lineup outperforms the lineup that you got this generation. So when you think about it, my friends, up to this point, the 2024, we got what, 8 games? First party owned, first party developed. 8 or 9 if you want to be technical, but to be fair, let's say 8 versus their 8. Okay. So the line or the rhetoric, oh, there was more output from the first party studios. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not factually right. If you're talking about first party developed, first party owned, it's not factually right. Now we can have a discussion about overall content and stuff like that in regards to second party and third party. But when I bring that up to you guys, you say, oh, they don't matter. Final Fantasy don't matter. This one don't matter because it's eventually going to PC or it's eventually going to that, or it's not owned by Sony. We only care about the Sony owned, Sony developed games. Those are the creme de la creme. Okay, well, if that's the litmus that you're holding and second party and third party exclusives don't matter, then it's 8 versus 8. And I don't know if that 8 is better than this 8. Okay? All right. So, just so you're aware, I'm with you on the lack of transparency. Show us what's coming. Show us that you're not completely wasting first party talent for this live games as a service crap. And show us that, you know, and look, hey, if you can even make more games, don't follow the status quo, do more, right? I'm with you there, but just make sure you're addressing this factually. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that, and shout out again to Porter Rock for providing that slide. But here's where we're going to get to the meat and potatoes here. Xbox fanboys who've been gaslighting the entire internet, Sony's dead or whatever. You never are based in facts, but for those that are unfamiliar with what's going on here, that here's your siloed, smooth brain rhetoric. Let's put to light what's been slapped in the dark from your numbskull behavior. First and foremost, if PlayStation is dead, Xbox never existed. Explain to me why, even with ABK, you still make less money than PlayStation. If PlayStation is dead, Xbox never existed. Exhibit 1. Let's talk about money that is made. Last fiscal 2024. Again, you got to remember the fiscal year for these companies and in a different time than the actual calendar year. So when you look at Xbox's fiscal 2024 versus Sony's fiscal 2024, who made more money? Even with ABK, Xbox made $21.5 billion. That is up from $15.4 billion before they accumulated the ABK numbers. That's hella impressive. Whoa, holy cow. But without going on a spending spree and buying up every single publisher out there, PlayStation still made $27.5 billion in their 2024 fiscal. What are we talking about here? $27.5 billion in their 2024 fiscal. Can we stop? And again, these are the full year numbers, 12 months that ended in their fiscal of March 31st, 2024, where I think Xbox's ended in May. Their 12-month allotment for their fiscal ends in May. 27.5. There's still like six and a half billion, right? Or just 6 billion. There's still 6 billion more. They make 6 billion more still. Even with y'all getting ABK, Satya Nadella said this in the court case, in the FTC court trial. He said even with ABK, we're still going to be in third place. What are y'all talking about? So how is Xbox ruling or owning PlayStation? They don't even make more money. Let's not even talk console sales, because y'all try to throw that under the bus like that don't matter. They make more money overall with y'all owning ABK. Right? And look, things are so unstable at Xbox. They went from denying a claim about ABK not helping Game Pass to apparently hitting Insider Gaming back. Like, whoa. Dial that back a little bit. We're just saying it's missing context, right? What am I talking about? This story, where a story came out from a group called The Information, where they reported that not only was Activision Blizzard not really helping the flailing Game Pass, but they said that because numbers weren't hitting to Satya Nadella's approval, he was contemplating, once again, like he did in 2014, 2015, of selling or winding down Xbox. He was contemplating it again, according to a couple of sources that The Information is claiming is close to Satya Nadella. Okay? So what happened to this isn't right to, this isn't taking everything in full context, and they give you a whole bunch of bibble babble that don't mean anything because they're showing their increase in revenue after adding ABK. They're comparing months without ABK to months with ABK. Nah, show me months with ABK to a subsequent fiscal with ABK again. Let's see how you do then. All right. Now, and I've said in previous live podcasts that I wholly expect that this quarter that just had Black Ops 6 will outperform Modern Warfare 2, I believe it is, because of how many sales particularly they had on PlayStation 5 or whatever, or PlayStation in general. If they don't outperform last quarter, all hell would break loose. This is Microsoft not being able to outperform quarters where their legacy content keeps dropping in revenue. Okay? So cut that out. And last but not least, because Game Pass is failing, because even with ABK you're making less money than PlayStation, you lack so much faith, or your company that you want to put up on this pedestal for some god-awful reason. You want to live in some alternative universe. They lack so much faith in their own games that they got to put them on PlayStation because they know PlayStation makes superior games. And you got to do that to help subsidize your failing Game Pass service. What am I talking about? That they think that they make better games? Here we go. Not too long ago, Xbox did an internal study of Last of Us Part 2. It came out in the Epic Games versus Apple leaks or court case. I don't know what Xbox had to do with this, but this somehow came out. And in their review, this is what Xbox surmised. Here's the Xbox analysis of The Last of Us 2. Quote, "The Last of Us Part 2 is the exceedingly rare video game where what it accomplishes in moving forward, the art of narrative storytelling in video games as a medium ultimately outweighs whether or not everyone likes it or even everyone has fun playing it. The internal Xbox team says, we're frequently stunned by the quality of the game's visuals, something that seldomly happens these days." And I've seen somewhere else where I tried to pull, and if anybody finds these quotes as well, forward them to me. I really appreciate it. I remember seeing quotes somewhere where I think it was Phil Spencer said it would take their studios years to accumulate to that level, to get to like that Naughty Dog and PlayStation games in general, or surpass what they're capable of. You had Phil Spencer go on stage at DICE and pretty much say the same thing. One year he went to the DICE Awards and admitted, we want to get our games as good as PlayStation again. That is defeatist attitude. And his predecessors, his prior contemporaries, they didn't think like that at all. You are idolizing a defeated group of a gaming company, and they're trying to survive and leave the lights on. They bought the largest publisher in the world and still are behind PlayStation by $6 billion. Holy flablopple. With Candy Crush and all that stuff, they're still behind $6 billion. And here's what I don't understand. Because somebody must be underperforming. They went up 15.4 billion. They went from 15.4 billion to 21 billion. But hold on. Activision Blizzard annually brings in 9 billion, right? Close to 9 billion. 9 plus 15 isn't 21. So again, either legacy Xbox content is falling off the cliff. This legacy content that y'all claim, it's keeping PlayStation alive. PlayStation don't even have it yet, and they're outperforming you by 6 billion. So either the legacy Xbox content is falling off the cliff, maybe ABK content isn't performing to its norm around 8 or 9 billion, or you might have a little bit of both. That doesn't sound like Xbox saving PlayStation to me. It sounds like PlayStation saving Xbox. Cut the malarkey. With that said, here's my conclusion. Back to this dang on Horizon MMO game, right? Who knows what the state of this game is? And as far as I'm concerned, it's not even that much worth the attention because one, it's not even officially announced, and two, it's not under development by first party. So I don't care. They want to make live service games? Great, fine, cool. If I end up liking one, great, fine, cool. I understand why they have to make them because of the aforementioned ABK. There were some financial things that happened that shook PlayStation and made them say, you know what, we got to better safeguard the games that make our top 20 list. And those are games as a service titles. So that's what they're trying to do here. This push isn't necessarily for me. If I end up liking a games as a service game, cool. You know what I'm saying? But the live service rather, the live service games, which a lot of it is a lot of PvP, great. But that's not what I bought a PlayStation for. So if I end up liking one, great. But until they're officially announced or they're announced by a first party studio, it's vaporware. That said, when you do your research, you quickly discover that everyone in an uproar, A, needs to balance out the understandable outrage a bit, or B, stop trying to look for an extra life somewhere that doesn't exist and you keep just falling off the cliff like Super Mario Bros. Does somebody at Sony need to provide its consumers more transparency? Absolutely. But like the fanboys are saying, is PlayStation in shambles or dead? Absolutely not. And again, if they're dead, you never existed, Xbox. Lending internal devs to games as a service was idiotic, but it seems they are course correcting as needed. Now, regarding first party contributions, they are on par, if not surpass last gen same time. And fanboys, you just look pathetic. It's like someone who got their girl taken from them in front of everybody in the club. So now you're pathetically rampaging down streets and going, aha, at the first couple you see in an argument. This is loser mentality of the highest order. And believe you me, the moment that Xbox big tentpole games like Halo and Starfield get officially announced on other platforms, your overplayed hand will be the ultimate egg on the face that you will not be able to yank off. Lastly, I do want to address the third party here. And that group is the journalists. Yes, you, journalist, the journo. Some may want to let you off the hook, but I'm not. I think it was newsworthy to report the rumor, but if it's an unvalidated rumor, it should have been spilled over all over the title, all over the article, and with assurances that you would at least try to validate the source. Hey, there's a rumor, here's some buzz, like, buzz, or in parentheses or in a bracket, take with a grain of salt. We're hearing that, you know what I'm saying? And then it should always be followed up with, we're working to validate the story. Not, oh, this thing is catching fire, so now we're going to just sit there and run the gravy train of click and ad revenue, right? But I do think it was worth at least reporting that with those appropriate caveats. Because journalists are expected to be fact disseminators, not quick to publish gossip columnists. Your responsibility doesn't end on just reporting something that was, quote unquote, posted elsewhere. How truthful is this? And if this can't be validated, let's make it clear before we even get into the discussion. This just shows you the miserable state of gaming journalism, one which I think will never recover to the glory days of my younger years, thus ensuring that you, the reader, you gotta be on your P's and Q's, because your last line of defense, these journos, has just sold out. And that's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, because like I always say, I'm curious what I think. But if you did like what I had to say, check out the links below to follow me. They will lead you again to Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, MM2K Gaming, and we got members content talking about my thoughts of the Phantom Blade Zero gameplay that was just released. Oh my gosh. And again, there we go. Like, PlayStation is dead. Like, their second party games outsurpass Xbox's game. Like, I have yet, in my opinion, to see a game come out of Xbox this generation that's as good as Phantom Stellar Blade, for crying out loud. Their second part, Final Fantasy VII, their second party games are destroying Xbox. Like, stop, we gotta stop this foolery. We gotta go somewhere. This is like I told you Xbox before, go sit and coach. This is a first class conversation. With that said, check out the members video if you want to see my Phantom Blade Zero reaction. Become a member. We got content Monday through Friday. You will enjoy it. And until next time, you all have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.